Welcome back to the Angry Man Podcast with Jason and Greg. So, Jay, they have responded. They being Teofimo Lopez and Teofimo Lopez Sr., mostly Teofimo Lopez Sr., to the response or the comments that were made by Gervonta Davis a few days ago as a part of his presser versus Lamont Roach. Now, we know that Gervonta Davis mentioned that when he sees Teofimo Lopez, he plans to slap him because he is he called him a derogatory word, that's associated with, a lady's body part, I guess you could call it. So they took the opportunity to respond to it, Jay, and I thought what they said was really interesting, specifically one part of it. And they dive into what I would call this Gervonta Davis narrative, right? Talking about lineal champions and who has he fought and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But then he delves into this other aspect of Gervonta Davis, which I have never heard before in my life. I've never heard someone make this argument and turn it into something that's derogatory. So, Jay, I want to play this clip here quickly. I think it's going to be roughly a minute to a minute and a half of Teofimo Lopez Sr. talking. And then I want to react to it, Jay, because, again, I have never heard someone say this and refer to this as being negative. So let's go ahead and play this clip here. Let's see. I'm just going to play the audio.
And then he's calling, and he's so stupid because he's announcing that he's going to confront us and slap my son. I want to see that happen.
What do you think about that, Tio Fimo?
That's ridiculous.
Listen, just let me know when you're going to do it so I have ESPN there, we get a ring, and we do it in the ring. There you go. We fight. You know what I'm saying?
But you know what I'm saying? These people get offended because we're trying to be great, you know what I'm saying? And we're trying to show them.
Real quick, isn't he suing to try to get out of his contract? I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
The world that these guys are they're all bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Name me one lineal champion of that Tank has fought. Name me one real good world champion that he has fought. Nobody. He has. What people don't understand, they call him a three-divisional world champion. He's not. He got those interim belts. Those are not world titles. You know what I'm saying? They're lying to the public, man. I think he only has like a one world.
You mean like the lie that they told when they said that he was undisputed champion at 135?
Title at 130.
Right. Off camera, right? I was telling you, I'm a Tank fan, but I want to see 50-50 fights. Fights with Teo, fights with Shakur.
Yeah.
That's what we need, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what we need. And trust me, he ain't gonna be able to touch my son with that left hand. And even if he does, my son will eat it right there. And that's why you see Tank always losing 6 rounds, 7 rounds. Why? Because he's a coward. You know what I'm saying? He goes in there, he wants to feel you. He wants to feel what you got. And then once he feels that you're not hurting him or you can't hurt him, that's when he goes for the kill. You understand? That to me is a coward.
Jay, that was the part to me that I was like, hold up, what? So Gervonta Davis going into the ring and figuring out his opponent. Let's call it downloading information, because that's what they used to call it when Floyd was doing it. Recently, they've said fighters like Shakur Stevenson does this. They've said fighters like Terrence Crawford, supposedly he downloads information in regards to his fighter and then they take him apart. But now we are changing this to a negative. That Tank goes in there and he feels what his opponent has, and then he dissects what that is, and then determines what his path to victory needs to be, what his approach needs to be, what his strategy needs to be. That sounds like high ring IQ to me. Yet now somehow Gervonta Davis is a coward because he figures out people in the ring. He loses rounds as he's figuring out an opponent, and then subsequent to that, gets that opponent out of the. I can't believe some of the narratives that folks create when it relates to Gervonta Davis. We've heard this whole story about he's never been a lineal champion, a world champion, he's never beat this champion and that champion, da-da-da-da, and this, that, and the third. And I've told you in the past, Jay, I don't really believe in a lot of that, because a lot of times when a cat is a champion, it's because he was affiliated with the appropriate promoter at the time who had another champion in his stable, specifically one that had been moved along and put into a position to win the title, who was never really all that good to begin with, right? And we've seen, I'm not going to go into any details, but we've seen that, right? So I just thought that was interesting that he said Gervonta Davis now is being criticized for losing rounds at the beginning while he learns and adapts to his opponent and then ultimately gets that opponent up out of there. He's a coward for that. Make it make sense to me, Jay. I don't get it. Make it make sense to me.
I wish I could, my brother. I wish I could, because to me, that's just boxing. That's boxing. You're not going to just hop out there and just go balls to the wall and put yourself out there. You're boxing. You know, it's one thing if you're out there and you're just avoiding the fighter, avoiding the punches the whole fight, really, and not, throwing any punches back when you have it in range, That's one thing. But that's not the case with Tank, And it's the reason why people are reluctant to come at Tank all balls to the wall as well, because they know he can counter you. They know he can get you out of there. He said, he's not going to hurt him with that left hand. He's not going to catch him with the left hand. Tank can knock you out with the right hand as well. And we've seen Tio get dropped by lesser opponents and get hurt by lesser opponents. So, I mean, this is the same – his son is the same guy that fought Steve Claggett and went 12 rounds with a guy that had 7 losses. It didn't look that spectacular. Same guy that fought Sandor Martin that said after the fight that he really lost, he said, do I still have it? I mean, come on now. The same dude that fought Jermaine Ortiz and arguably lost or had a draw in that fight as well. So don't act like Tio's some of this monster, man, out there like that. So stop it. I get it's your son, but dang, man. And saying that Tank is a coward because he's using ring IQ to set traps for the fighter, man, you're just straight hating, dude. I mean, it makes no sense. And his son doesn't go all out neither from the get-go. His son feels the feel. That's a feeling that round for a reason. The first couple of rounds usually like that. Some go a little bit longer, but his son does it as well. His son doesn't come out just throwing punches out of crazy like that neither. So, I mean, it makes no sense for this argument for Tio Sr. to come out there. I mean, and to your point, it's like Tio saying, like, yeah, when you want to slap, let me know so I get a ring crew, get a camera crew out here and have ESPN out. You're in litigation with them, dude. So now you're using them? Which one is it, man? You can't have it both ways, buddy. I mean, they are all over the place and talks a lot of game for a guy that his biggest fight. He beat Loma, yes. After that, Josh Taylor, but Josh Taylor was too big for the weight class, and he had already arguably lost to Jack Catterall already. So, I mean, it's been some years since Tio has done anything of relevance outside of Josh Taylor.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because one could argue that he lost a lot of rounds to Sandor Martin, lost a lot of rounds to Jermaine Ortiz, early rounds, even Steve Claggett. He lost some rounds too at the beginning, maybe 1 or 2 rounds, but not a whole lot. But yeah, and so then you make that argument. I just think it's interesting. I like that they're talking because I always think it's good to talk. I think it's good to build things up. One of the things that I thought was interesting is that he said that Gervonta Davis is small. He's right. He's small. I've seen Gervonta Davis in person. He's small. And so it's interesting to me how everybody wants Tank to move up in weight to position himself to get to at a disadvantage. Move up. You got so much power. You should move up and disadvantage yourself because Tank is making 135, no problem. So why does he need to move up? So, I mean, it's interesting to me, but I just thought that when I heard that, I said, man, that is crazy that now all of a sudden this is also something that we would consider negative, or at least it's the Tank rules. Exactly right. You guys tell us what you think in the comment section in regards to these comments from Teofimo Lopez Sr. Don't forget to hate, like, comment, and subscribe. This is the Angry Man Podcast, M Sports Media, and we are